You built your entire life on a lie, and I have the proof. Julian Reeves hits play. His dead brother Michael appears on screen, counting thick stacks of cash. Julian's mortgage payment, month 37. Michael's voice is unnervingly calm. Mom's medical bills, month 18. Dad's business loan, month 12. His father's face goes white. This is impossible. Click. New video. Michael in a luxury art studio they've never seen. Today I sold fractured light for $15,000. Tomorrow I'll ask Julian for grocery money and watch him feel superior. His mother starts shaking. 47. Videos, Julian says. 3 years. Michael wasn't our failure, he was our bank. Sarah's chair crashes as she stands. This is sick. No, Julian says. This is us. Click. Michael's final video. Michael stares into the camera. Tomorrow I die. You'll finally understand what you lost. Not a failure, but your secret success. You needed me to fail so you could feel successful. When you discover I didn't fail, everything collapses. The room explodes. Where did you find these? His father screams. Julian holds up a key. Michael left this, along with a note. I created the perfect family. I funded your superiority while you pitied me. Every worried look, every piece of advice, you built your identities on fiction I paid for. The words hit like physical blows. 20 years of family mythology crumble in real time. Dad discovers he'd been living in a house Michael secretly saved from foreclosure. Mom learns Michael had been funding her medical treatments, but deeper than money, each realizes their identity was built opposing Michael's apparent failure. Julian became an accountant because it was the opposite of being an artist. Dad felt wise having an impractical son to compare himself to. Mom felt needed having a troubled child to worry about. Sarah grabs the laptop. Show me what he said. About me. Click. Sarah, the grateful daughter. Michael's voice over family dinner footage. Sarah needs me struggling so she can feel blessed. Watch her talk about graduate school, always with relief she's not like her irresponsible brother. Cut to Sarah at Christmas. I feel so bad for Michael, but I'm grateful I made better choices. Bank records flash on screen. Michael transferred $12,000 for her tuition that same week. You were paying for my better choices while I felt sorry for you, Julian says. Sarah's face crumbles. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. The revelation shatters Sarah beyond immediate processing. Her graduate success, career achievements, good decisions, built on Michael's hidden sacrifice. Every grateful moment, every relief at not being like her struggling brother, every practical advice she'd given him. Performance art with her as unwitting actor. If your family has someone everyone worries about, you need to subscribe. This gets much worse. Julian the superior. Brother, Michael on screen. Julian became an accountant because it's the opposite of being an artist. He offers me money not from generosity, but to feel successful by comparison. Cut to Julian lecturing Michael about real careers, while Michael hides a bank statement showing $200,000 in savings. Julian's world tilts. Every brotherly conversation, every piece of advice, theater. Michael documented everything, condescending tones, satisfied expressions when giving practical advice, subject changes when Michael mentioned art. Scientific precision capturing. Family psychology. Julian's career wasn't genuine calling, it was reaction against Michael's apparent failure. Accounting represented everything art wasn't: stable, predictable, respectable. His successful brother identity required Michael's failure more than his own achievement. Why? His mother whispers. Click. Young Michael in the same studio. Started. Accidentally. Sold my first painting the week Julian got promoted. At dinner, he lectured me about art not paying bills. I had $12,000 from that sale. The irony was delicious. Michael's eyes narrow. I realized I could fund their comfort while maintaining their superiority. Julian feels successful because he's not a struggling artist. Mom feels needed worrying about her troubled son. Dad feels wise having made practical choices. His expression turns cold. I became addicted. Every pitying look, every worried question. I was watching you build identities on fiction I funded. The origin story reveals the calculating nature of Michael's methodology, timing money requests with family successes, allowing calculated struggle to maintain believability, documenting every interaction for psychological study. Most disturbing, not his manipulations, but how eagerly they participated. They never questioned his poverty because they needed him struggling. Their comfort required his failure. They unconsciously collaborated to maintain the fiction. Julian's father explodes. He was sick. Was he? You felt superior to someone secretly more successful than you'll ever be. Chaos erupts. Sarah screams about family destruction. Dad accuses Michael of manipulation from the grave. Mom keeps repeating, this can't be real. Final folder, the parents. Michael's voice over their struggles. Dad's business failures were easier when he could point to his irresponsible son. Mom's anxiety was manageable with a troubled child to focus on. They required my fake failure to feel good about their choices. Footage shows Dad's mounting debts, Mom's medical bills, Michael's secret payments, beyond obvious expenses, Dad's business loan payments preventing bankruptcy, Mom's medication costs, treatments she thought were free. Michael was the invisible financial foundation, more devastating than money. Psychological insights. Private recordings showed parents expressing fears about their choices, then regaining confidence by comparing themselves to their unsuccessful son. Their marriage improved, having Michael to worry about together. Shared project distracting from their problems. You needed me as the cautionary tale, Michael's voice continues. My fake failure was the foundation your real success was built on. Julian closes the laptop. He's dead 6 months and we're exactly where he predicted. Destroyed by truth, unable to return to lies. Silence deafening. Each sits with identity wreckage, processing inverted reality. Successful ones were failures. Failure was success. Giver was taker. Takers were givers. Everything they'd believed, built. On non-existent foundation. Julian's father is the first to break. What do you want from us, Julian? What's the point of destroying us like this? I want to know if we're going to keep pretending Michael was the problem, or if we're finally going to admit that we were. The question hangs in the air, unanswerable, because both options lead to psychological devastation. Continuing to see Michael as the problem means maintaining a lie they now know is a lie. But accepting that they were the problem means confronting decades of comfortable superiority, years of identity built on someone else's fabricated failure. Hit that notification bell. What this family does next will change how you see your own family forever. Sarah storms out. Won't speak to Julian for months. Parents enter therapy, processing that their troubled son was their financial lifeline. Julian makes an unexpected choice. He doesn't become an artist. He does something stranger. He starts documenting his own life like Michael documented theirs. The family pattern Michael exposed isn't unique. It's everywhere. Every family needs someone to be the cautionary tale. Someone struggles so others feel grateful. Someone fails so others feel successful. Julian's decision stems from understanding. Michael's videos weren't revenge. They were anthropological study. He'd identified universal psychology extending beyond their family. Need for scapegoats, cautionary. Tales, someone to feel superior to. Systematic features of family psychological hierarchies. Julian creates family truth sessions. Small groups sharing stories of designated family failures who secretly held everything together. 8 people at the first meeting. 50 by month 3. Waiting list by month 6. The stories pour out. Irresponsible uncle secretly paying everyone's rent. Unstable sister, funding family vacations. Disappointing son, covering parents' medical bills while they worried about his future. Michael hadn't just documented their lie, he'd exposed a universal pattern. Groups reveal systematic family scapegoating. Person after person, families unconsciously designating one member as failure to maintain others' success. Designated failures often become addicted to the role, finding identity in being the person others feel superior to. Julian's groups uncover everyone's price. Successful members live with constant anxiety about maintaining position. Achievements feel hollow, measured against fabricated failure rather than genuine accomplishment. Gratitude becomes toxic, built on hidden sacrifice. Julian documents these patterns with the same methodical approach Michael had used, but with a different purpose. Where Michael had documented to expose, Julian documents to heal. He develops protocols for families to safely dismantle these dynamics without destroying their relationships entirely. 6 months later, a journalist contacts Julian. She's investigating hidden family support systems, adult children secretly helping parents, siblings funding each other while maintaining facades. Her article goes viral, not shocking but recognizable. Millions see their family dynamics in Julian and Michael's story. Messages flood in. Lisa writes, "We worried about my unstable brother for 15 years. Last month I found out he's been day trading from home, secretly paying our parents' mortgage for 3 years. He let us think he was struggling because it made us feel better." Michael's story isn't unique, it's universal. Viral response confirms Julian's groups. Michael documented universal patterns. Psychological need for hierarchies, cautionary tales, comfortable superiority. Repeats across cultures, economic levels, family structures. Messages from every continent, every background. Details change. Pattern consistent. Families requiring one failure so others feel successful. Devastating psychological toll on everyone. The revelation goes deeper. These dynamics don't just hurt designated failures, they poison everyone. People who feel superior based on others' struggles live with constant anxiety about maintaining position. Gratitude built on others' supposed failures becomes hollow when truth emerges. Julian's groups develop techniques for dismantling these patterns without destroying families, removing lies people's identities are built on without leaving them with nothing. The hardest cases, families where successful members literally cannot handle learning they've been supported by the person they pitied. Their entire sense of self collapses when comfortable superiority is revealed as funded fiction. Healing requires more than truth-telling, rebuilding identity from ground up, helping people find worth, not dependent on feeling superior to others. Delicate work, removing psychological structures families are built on, can cause complete collapse. Hardest cases, identity-dependent superiority, family members whose entire sense of self intertwines with being better than designated failure. Learning truth causes psychological breakdown. These members often prefer maintaining lies rather than facing superiority's emptiness. Julian also discovers successful transitions, families learning gratitude that doesn't require others struggling, success not requiring others failing, identity not requiring others being inferior. Julian realizes Michael hadn't just funded family financially, he'd funded their emotional comfort, superiority, ability to feel good about choices through comparison. Michael's death wasn't just suicide, final act of service to family requiring his sacrifice to function. Julian refuses meaningless sacrifice, uses Michael's documentation, helping families recognize patterns before destroying someone. Work spreads quietly, not movement but recognition. Many families built on lies about who supports whom. Michael's death reframed, not troubled or unstable, but exhausted, carrying psychological weight. A family's need to feel superior. Performance art became unsustainable, not too complex but requiring complete authentic self-sacrifice. Final videos weren't documentation or revenge, they were gift. Exposing dynamics gave opportunity to build relationships on truth rather than comfortable lies. Question: would they take opportunity or maintain psychological structures at authentic connections' cost? Julian's work becomes grief processing for Michael. Each family learning to see designated failure as whole person, each discovering gratitude doesn't require others' struggle, each transitioning from hierarchy to equality honors what Michael died teaching. The truth Julian shares with everyone he works with is devastating. The people families designate as failures are often the ones holding everything together. The gratitude people feel for their success is frequently based on someone Else's hidden sacrifice, the saddest part. Those making sacrifices hide their success not to be noble, but because revealing it would force families to confront uncomfortable truths about dependence and superiority. Julian's final insight recognizes that Michael's story represents a broader crisis in how families understand success and failure. In a culture that requires winners and losers, families unconsciously create these dynamics internally, designating one member to carry the psychological weight of failure so others can carry the psychological reward of success. But this system is unsustainable because it's built on lies. The designated failure often isn't actually failing, and when these lies are exposed, the entire family structure collapses. Unless family members can learn to build relationships based on truth rather than comfortable hierarchies. Share in the comments, who in your family is the designated cautionary? Tale, what would you discover if you looked closer? Julian's final insight comes from Michael's last video. Some dreams aren't abandoned. They're murdered by people who need them to die so their choices can feel alive. The only way to honor those dreams is to stop letting others' need for superiority define success. As Julian tells everyone who contacts him, in the quiet voice that carries both his truth and Michael's final lesson, the question isn't whether your family's cautionary tale is really failing. The question is whether you're brave enough to find out what happens to your sense of yourself if they're not. The work Julian continues today, 3 years after finding Michael's videos, has helped hundreds of families recognize and dismantle the psychological structures that require some members to sacrifice their authentic selves for others' comfort. It's delicate work, requiring families to rebuild relationships from the ground up, but Julian has seen it work. The most successful transitions happen when family members can acknowledge that they participated in a system that hurt everyone involved, including themselves. The hardest transitions involve families who prefer maintaining comfortable lies to facing uncomfortable truths about interdependence and authentic success. But every family that makes the transition honors Michael's memory and validates his final gift, the revelation that love based on truth, even painful truth, is more sustainable than love based on comfortable lies. Michael's death wasn't just tragedy, it was transformation, forcing a family to choose between maintaining psychological structures that require sacrifice or building relationships that allow everyone to be authentically successful. Julian's work continues quietly but persistently, helping families everywhere discover what Michael died trying to teach his own family, that the dreams we think we've abandoned often haven't died. They've been murdered by people who need them to fail so their own choices can feel successful. The path to healing requires the courage to stop letting others' need for superiority define what success looks like, and to start building relationships based on truth rather than psychological hierarchy. Michael's final lesson echoes in every family Julian helps. Authentic love requires authentic truth, even when that truth destroys comfortable lies. The question each family must answer is whether they love each other enough to be real, or whether they need each other to be performances. Michael chose reality over performance, even when it killed him. The families who honor his choice by choosing truth over comfort discover that authentic relationships, while more challenging, are also more alive than relationships built on roles and hierarchies. Julian's voice carries Michael's final wisdom. To every person willing to listen, the abandoned dreams aren't lost. They're waiting for the courage to stop letting other people's psychological needs determine what's possible. The question isn't whether it's too late to honor those dreams, but whether we're brave enough to stop participating in the systems that murder them.